Hey everyone, it's Robert Peeler, your community manager for Square Enix. I'm here with Darrell Gallagher, the studio head and responsible for the new Tomb Raider games. We're here to ask him a few questions, so let's just get right to it, right?
All right.
Okay, first of all, last time at E3, we showed Lara Shipwrecks. Basically, what's happened since then, and what are you showing to us this year?
Well, as it happens, we're continuing on from last E3 almost seamlessly. So at the end of last E3, we showed her escaping a survival escape, which was in this first den or tomb that she was trapped in. So she escaped that at the end of last E3. She ended up on an ocean vista, and we pretty much continue from that point onwards. So it's a seamless transition between last year and this year.
Is she moving away through the ships, trying to find survivors? On the coastline?
Yeah. So she's making her way through the coastline. She's making her way to try and forage for some food, for some others, for some water, to actually kind of find out where she is, what she's doing in this place, and to learn more about this island.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. How does it feel to make Tomb Raider part of this Microsoft Media Conference? How does it feel to add that to that major presentation?
That's been great. I mean, who could complain about that? 2 years running, we've been on the Microsoft stage, which is a great venue for us. A great opportunity to show the work we've been doing at Crystal. It's a little bit scary, obviously preparing for something that big. So there's a lot of pressure on the team actually getting this very short segment together. But it's great to showcase it in a way where there's a wide audience and everybody can appreciate some of the work we've done. I guess what I'm most excited about is the ability to actually show behind closed doors here at E3 a kind of a wider variety of some of the gameplay that we have, because the Microsoft conference is obviously very short, very time pressured, and we can only fit so much in. But it's been great reception.
You didn't look nervous. I thought you looked okay. So
yeah?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, hit it pretty well.
Yeah, you did okay. All right, next question. So basically, we've seen Lara, she's taken a few hits. It's a little bloodied, a little dirty along the way. Yeah. But basically, she's going to get better, right? She's going to be constantly in trouble or in so much pain that she can barely move. She's going to get okay, right?
She does get stronger over time, yeah. Certainly, there's a lot of threats on the island, and they are consistent from sort of start to finish in some form. But as she grows, as her character grows, she does get stronger, and she becomes more able. And we kind of gave that data point in the Microsoft demo on stage, where she was obviously further along in her arc, and clearly much more capable at that point.
Okay, cool. So it's a very big growth opportunity for her as just a person and a character in this new franchise. Perfect. All right. So we've seen a lot of the falling scenes where there's a variety of actions the player needs to take to avoid falling rocks or stumbling to doom. And when you guys played it, you did a kind of a perfect playthrough.
Yeah, I had a short segment.
Yeah, fail. For sure. What happens when you do fail, though?
When you fail, well, there's death involved. I mean, certainly there are deaths involved, and they can be pretty grisly in places.
It's kind of graphic?
Well, we wanted to reinforce the fact that it's a harsh island that she's on, and it's a harsh struggle she's going through. So I think it's with motivation. Ultimately, there's consequences for Lara and consequences for the player, for them actually not really actually making their way through the experience in the right way. So yeah, it's a harsh island. That's reflected.
It's challenging.
It's very challenging.
Something to do. All right, we have another question about the characters shown in the last trailer. What are their motivations? What about the allies or the foes? How does that influence Lara and her journey?
Yeah. Well, obviously this is a quick interview, so that's a big question, so we're not going to get into it in too much detail, but obviously there's an ecosystem on the island. There are a band of scavengers, people on the island that she came across, and you've seen in certain demos at this point, and there's some survivors that came with Lara, so they're her crew, and there's a storyline that obviously weaves those two together. But there's an ecosystem. These scavengers have been there, they've crashed on the island, and they've been there and kind of grown their own ecosystem over the years, and they're obviously hostile. Feral, scary dudes.
Not the nicest people.
Not the nicest people, no. This island can do bad things to people.
What about her allies? How would they assist her through her journey?
Well, again, that's deep into storyline, so I don't want to give too much of that away, but I guess what I can say is there are a band of survivors that come with Lara, and she meets up with them, as you've seen in the demo. She intersects with them, and they help her along her way. And there's that natural kind of push and pull between the characters and what would you do, or what would they do when they're actually stranded in difficult circumstances. So you see a lot of character evolution in them, and character turns of when pressure gets high. or stakes get high, what does that do to an individual?
It's a pretty
interesting to kind of play on that.
Pretty strong emotional response from like some of the major characters, kind of like meeting a demise or getting in trouble that seemed like she had to take care of, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a very drama-fueled game. It's a very emotional-driven game. I think the circumstances and the high challenge and the high stress that they're under really produces some of that drama.
Great. All right. Can you tell us a little bit about the platforming? Maybe some of the classic platforming we might see return from the series?
For sure, yeah. I mean, we have platforming. We haven't showcased it in full. I think we've got some great platforming to show off. The spaces are a little different. We have some more openness. I think we've discussed that. It's important that we actually kind of get that right. This is not open world. It's not Skyrim. It's not GTA. What we have done is allowed, in hubs, for instance, some freedom to the player. So it's not just on a ledge on rails. And Lara as well has air control, right? So air steer, so you can actually steer here mid-air. You can actually have the ability to make a jump and actually correct a jump mid-flight, right? Which is something that wasn't there before. It's pretty cool. So you can move a stick left and right, she twists left and right, forwards and backwards. It's subtle, but it means you're in control the whole time, rather than just leaping and hoping you made it. You actually have the ability to really keep control of Lara from the beginning you take off to the beginning of you land. So that, combined with some spaces that open up more complex traversal paths and gives a few more options, means that it's actually really good fun to play and really good fun to sort of jump around, find your path.
Not necessarily.
We've created spaces for that.
Not necessarily just a single button press from one position to the next, but basically just a lot of control in that area.
Yeah.
All right. We were kind of curious, what made you guys want to reboot this series in general? Like, it was a long-running series and had a lot of entries that are very varied through different platforms, different consoles. What decision went to making a whole new reboot?
Well, ultimately we felt it was necessary. So the reboot was necessary, and the main reason was twofold. One, we had done a trilogy with Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld, and those were designed as a trilogy. They were written as a story over 3 games, and they came to the completion with Underworld. So we felt that was a natural time to go and explore something new. And the second reason was we also felt that the gameplay style, as we transitioned to next gen with Underworld, we felt that was an area that we needed to really look at and mix up, right? Games have moved on. There's a more modern era of gaming versus when Tomb Raider was first created. And essentially, the pillars of Tomb Raider haven't completely changed, they've just been modernized. So we felt that modernization of gameplay and really actually putting it through the quote-unquote reboot lens was necessary for this generation.
Okay, fair enough. All right, just a couple more.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of public comparison between Tomb Raider, this new one, and the Uncharted franchise.
Yeah.
What would you say, helps Tomb Raider basically stand out against that franchise?
Lara. That's one big one. No, all seriousness. Well, naturally, they're action-adventure. Okay, so there's going to be some comparison. I don't think we can get away with that. And there's certain things that the Uncharted series has done, which has borrowed heavily from Tomb Raider's old. So again, there's going to be some crossover. That said, I think when we show the game as a whole, or when you get to experience it start to finish, we believe there's a lot of differences between the two. That I guess the comparison I can make is you can have 2 summer blockbusters, and they can be big action things with 2 different actors, and things like tone and mood and story separate the two very differently. So our tone is very different, our storyline, our narrative, our lead character is very different. And then deeper than that, in terms of the gameplay, we have a resourcefulness to Lara, right, which you started seeing in some of the demos we've given, which I think is, again, a different thing to Uncharted. Also, our game structure, I think we have some wider areas. I think our hubs, which we've not necessarily shown yet, I think are a really big differentiator. Our ability to retraverse, the ecosystem on the island, hunting, the ability to go and take deer and other animals on the island. I think there's a lot of small differences that actually make the 2 products sort of stand apart when you actually experience them in full. Yeah. So it's not just like one big thing, right? It's not like you look at a summer blockbuster and this is one big thing and a movie is different because of that. It's a lot of small pieces that kind of add up to something different.
But in that same vein, if you're a fan of Uncharted, it's natural that you might even really like this series.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure they would.
Give it a shot that way.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. One more major question. So the game has been delayed until Q1 of next year. Can Can you tell us a little bit about the decision behind that delay?
Well, as we explained in the podcast, and we actually put a press statement out, there's no real big mystery behind it. Ultimately, games, to be honest, they're hard to plan for, especially when you're 2 or 3 years out. And you put your best guess out and say, well, we think we can bring it in here, but we didn't really want to compromise on quality, and that's a firm stand we made at the beginning. And we have this vision for this reboot, and ultimately, as we came closer and closer, we get through production, we get a good sense of, well, how much time is it going to take to really land this in the way that we really wanted to land it. And ultimately, we felt, we could use a bit more time to really land it with everything that we wanted. So that's why we moved it.
Yeah, and that's fine. We're just anxious. We just really want to play it.
Good things come to those who wait.
We'll wait. We'll anxiously wait.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for answering our questions, and we'll see you guys at Square Enix a little later. Bye.